My neighbor Carol called me last Tuesday evening. She is 71 years old. Retired school teacher. Careful with her money her whole life. She called because her financial advisor had just told her that a block of municipal bonds she has been holding for 6 years, bonds from a southwestern water authority she bought specifically because they were safe, tax-free. And borrowing those bonds were getting a second look because of something happening at a lake she had never visited and had barely heard of. She asked me what Lake Powell had to do with her retirement income. I told her I would explain it. And that is exactly what I am going to do for you today. Because if you are holding municipal bonds from Western utilities, or water districts, or public power authorities anywhere in the Colorado River Basin, and millions of retirees across this country, then the number I am about to give you is not a weather story. It is a portfolio story. Here it is. As of this morning, June 6, 2026, Lake Powell is sitting at 3,527.91 feet above sea level. Minimum power pool, the hard physical floor below which Glen Canyon Dam cannot generate any electricity, is 3,490 feet. That gap between where we are and where the lights go out is 37.91 feet. The Bureau of Reclamation's own April forecast says that without emergency intervention, the lake drops below that line by August. Now let me connect those feet of elevation to your bond statements, because this is the part nobody on financial television is explaining clearly. Glen Canyon Dam provides baseload electricity to roughly 5 million people across 6 states under long-term federal power contracts. Those contracts are managed by the Western Area Power Administration and priced at stable cost-based rates, meaning the utilities that buy this power have built their entire rate structures, their bond covenants, and their credit ratings around the assumption of cheap, reliable federal hydropower flowing to them year after year. When that power stops, and at 37 feet of cushion in the worst water year on record, we are talking about a real and imminent possibility those utilities do not get to pause their operations. They go out and buy replacement electricity on the open wholesale market the same day. Open market power prices in the Southwest during a summer heat event run 3 to 5 times the cost of federal hydropower. That emergency procurement hits the utility's operating budget like a freight train. S&P Global Ratings tracked water and utility bond downgrades in 2024 and found negative rating actions outnumbering positive ones by nearly 6 to 1 in the fourth quarter alone. Unfavorable outlook revisions exceeded favorable ones by 23 to 3. Moody's has already established the precedent. They downgraded a Texas Water Authority's bonds, specifically citing drought conditions after a regional water crisis there. The mechanism is real. The rating agencies are watching this. And a bond downgrade does not just affect future issuance. It affects the current market value of bonds you are already holding. This is not speculation. This is the plumbing of the municipal bond market. And right now, the plumbing runs through a canyon in northern Arizona that has 37 feet of water standing between it and a shutdown. To understand how we arrived here, you have to go back to 1963. That is the year federal engineers began filling Lake Powell by damming the Colorado River at Glen Canyon. The engineering itself was extraordinary, one of the most sophisticated concrete arch dams ever built, a masterpiece of mid-century American ambition. The political logic behind it was sound. The states had divided the Colorado River in 1922, using water flow data from an anomalously wet period. They had promised more water than the river actually carries in a normal year. Lake Powell was supposed to be the buffer, catch water in the wet years, spend it in the dry ones, and smooth out the gap between what was promised and what the river delivers. For roughly 30 years, that worked. The western United States boomed on the back of that stored water and cheap dam power. Phoenix grew. Las Vegas grew. The Imperial Valley grew. Residential suburbs spread across desert land that would have been uninhabitable without the Colorado River system holding it all together. Then 2000 arrived. The drought that began that year has now lasted 26 years. It is the longest and driest sustained drought in this region since the medieval period, according to tree ring data going back over 1,000 years. Lake Powell hit full pool in 1983 at 3,700 feet. By June 2026, it is at 3,527.91, and the rivers feeding it this month are running at just 16.69% of their historical average for this date. The total winter snowpack, which is the primary source of water for this entire system, came in at 5.73% of average. Not a bad winter. A historically catastrophic one. All 7 Colorado River Basin states have now issued formal drought declarations. Utah declared a statewide drought emergency just last month, in May 2026. The federal government is not standing still. The Bureau of Reclamation ordered emergency releases from Flaming Gorge Reservoir in Wyoming, up to 1 million acre-feet pumped south into Lake Powell between April 2026 and April 2027. They slashed annual releases from Powell to Lake Mead by 1.48 million acre-feet, from 7.48 million down to 6 million, the lowest in decades. A coalition of over 70 organizations sent Congress a letter asking for $2 billion in new federal investment. The post-2026 operating framework, the new legal rules for managing this river, is in environmental review right now, with a practical deadline of mid-2026 to replace agreements that expire December 31st. But here is what a water attorney who works in this system said publicly last month that I want you to sit with. She said, "This is a short-term solution. Exhausting our reserves to avoid system collapse this year means those reserves will not be there next year. The government's response buys time. It does not fix the math. And every time they use Flaming Gorge to bail out Powell, Flaming Gorge drops. That reservoir is now being drawn down by 35 feet over 12 months. It used to be the backup. There is no backup to the backup. So what do you do right now practically, specifically this week? First, if you hold municipal bonds from any utility or water authority in Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, or Southern California, ask your broker or financial advisor one direct question. What percentage of this issuer's power supply comes from WAPA contracts tied to Colorado River hydropower? If they cannot answer that, push until they find out. You are entitled to that information. It is in the official statements filed with every bond issuance. Second, look at whether your bond holdings include any issuers that are already carrying negative outlook designations from Moody's, S&P, or Fitch. Rating agencies moved aggressively on Western water utilities in 2024. They are watching 2026 very closely. A negative outlook does not mean a downgrade is certain. It means you are in the warning window. If the summer plays out the way the Bureau of Reclamation forecasts suggest, the warning window closes fast. Third, consider the upside that almost no one in this conversation is mentioning yet. A February 2025 paper from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory found that floating solar panels deployed on federally owned dam reservoirs could power approximately 100 million American homes annually if the available surface area were used. Lake Powell alone could support nearly 15 gigawatts of solar capacity using just 23% of its surface. That is not a fantasy. A Utah company called WaterWise Solar presented a formal proposal to the state legislature in January of this year. The technology is real, the transmission lines are already sitting on top of Glen Canyon Dam, and the economics become dramatically more attractive every time open market electricity prices spike during a dam shortage. The utilities that move early on floating solar are the utilities that protect their bond ratings. That is where the long-term credit quality of this sector goes. There is a version of this story that ends with a major infrastructure failure, a cascade of utility downgrades, and a generation of retirees discovering that what they thought was a safe, boring municipal bond was actually a bet on snowfall in the Rocky Mountains. There is also a version that ends with the West finally building the power and water infrastructure it should have started a decade ago, and the bond issuers who lead that transition coming out with stronger ratings than they went in with. Which version plays out depends almost entirely on decisions being made right now, in the next 6 months, by water managers, federal agencies, state legislatures, and utility boards. You cannot make those decisions for them. But you can make sure your portfolio is not caught flat-footed when the results come in. Hit that like button if this gave you something your financial advisor has not brought up yet. Subscribe so you get the update the moment something moves at that gauge. And drop a comment below, are you holding any Western municipal bonds right now? And has anyone talked to you about Colorado River risk? Tell me what state you are watching from. I read every comment, and I will see you on the next one.